Good evening and welcome to Colorado Mesa University News. I'm Carly Hanley.
And I'm Stephen Adams.
Homecoming week is here. This week will be jam-packed with activities heading up to the big game on Saturday. Tuesday, October 13th is ASG Safety Day on Alumni Field from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. On Wednesday, the 14th, you can decorate foam fingers in the UC lobby from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then, at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night in the UC Ballroom, come see mentalist Chris Carter. According to his website, he's the closest thing to pure mind reading that you'll ever see. Thursday, October 15th is Rowdy the Maverick's 90th birthday. You can come celebrate from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the UC lobby in the University Center. Thursday night is also pub night at the Point from 8 p.m. until midnight.
And you're definitely going to want to stay in town this weekend. Friday will feature a carnival and beer garden from 5 to 8 p.m. in the plaza, followed by a bonfire on the Alumni Field. Saturday is game day, with the festivities kicking off at 11 a.m. at Lincoln Park. Steak and Crab Fest will be going on there until 3 p.m., while the homecoming parade will head through downtown Grand Junction starting at 11:45. Then, the highlight of the weekend, CMU will face off against Western New Mexico University at 1 p.m. Make sure to come out and support the Mavs for the big game. Earlier, Carly Hanley sat down with Fran Morales for some study tips during midterm exams.
Hi, I'm Carly Hanley. I'm here with Fran Morales, a student mentor here on campus. Her office is located in Albers Hall. And this week we're talking about midterms that are coming up and how we can reduce stress for those midterms. So Fran, are there any tips that you can give students on campus?
Well, there's a lot of stress involved with getting ready and studying for midterms. Just the thought of, where you're at in the class. Sometimes you just don't know. So the first thing you should really do is go and talk to your professors. Students that I've talked to before know that that's one of the things that I encourage all semester long is really get in there and get to know your professor, let them know you outside of the classroom, let them know your name. And it's important right now because it is midterm to see how much trouble you're in or how great you are. And get in there and see your professor, bring your study guides, have them help you review your study guide. If it's a study guide they handed you and you feel stupid going in there going, well, they gave it to me, go over the answers, go, is this right? Did I spell that right? Just get in there and get that contact and reviewing, the semester with them, what you struggled with, what you found what was easy. They know how you test, they know how you're doing. And if this is the first test you're taking, it's even more important to get in there and make that connection with your professor and see where you're at and see how much effort you really need to put into worrying. You got to put that effort into studying, but maybe you don't have to worry.
And so what can you say to any students that might be intimidated by going to their professors because maybe they're freshmen and it's a bigger class size than what they're used to?
Well, you just got to get over that intimidation because you're paying a lot of money for your class. If your phone was broken or you just got a new gaming device or your laptop, something went wrong, you'd go right down to that store and you would talk to that manager because you spent a lot of money and there's one pixel out on your phone and you want it replaced. I can't see of a student throwing their phone under a car and running it over, or their laptop, so why do that with your education just because you're a little intimidated? I think you got to get in there, and shake their hand, don't give them the limp wrist. Shake their hand and say, I need your help and I want to do well in your class. Can you tell me where my grade is at? I understand being intimidated, and if it's that big of a deal, this isn't the last time somebody's going to intimidate you. So you might as well start learning how to get around that by doing it when it's in your favor. Put that best foot forward, and if they intimidate you, so what? Big deal. It's not going to affect your grade if you go in there and go, I need help. It can only affect it in a positive way. So if you're intimidated, you need to kind of get over that. It's a good place to practice not being intimidated by people, right. And if you don't like that professor, if they aggravate you, if their voice drives you crazy, that's really who you should be seeing to change that interaction with them, because that same person, those same traits could be your landlord, your in-laws, your neighbor, your roommate, your mom. So you may as well learn how to, speak your piece and put your best foot forward when it can pay off with a better grade. Become a person to them, not just some kid in their class that they're not sure of their name. Go see them in their office. Break that boundary. It'll only pay off in the long run. They'll get to know you, you'll get to know them, and it can really change the classroom dynamic if you go see them in their office. The fun thing is you see all their stuff. You see what they want to have around them, and that tells you a lot about a professor. What they choose to have around them in their office. It could give you a little insight that you didn't have before. They're in there, they're waiting for somebody to come in and get help. Sure, some may not be as friendly as most, but that's the world, and I've often said it's like shopping at Walmart. You go down one aisle, clear. You go down another aisle, you're in that aisle for, a half hour because there's a crazy family in there and you can't get through. Well, life is like that. One day you're good, smooth sailing. Next day something gets in your path, you don't know how to navigate around it. Well, the only way to learn how is to put those things in your path. So you got to navigate around that professor that's intimidating. You could go with another classmate if you feel like there's some value in numbers, or if you're really not doing well and you're not doing well, and there's a good reason for it, and you're not really willing to talk to your professor about it, come see me. I'll email them for you. I'll break the ice for you, and let them know, hey, they were sick, or they had a death in the family, or they're struggling with depression or this illness, and breaking the ice and then letting them know you're coming to see them. I mean, there really should be no reason you don't go to see your professor. It will only pay off in the long run.
So seeing your professor is one tip that you can give them?
Another one that would be really helpful, and I value this bigger than almost anything else, it's using a planner and really planning not just when things are due, not just the date that it's due, but backtracking from that due date. Backtrack the day before and put on there, make sure the paper is complete. And then day before that, finish up your documentation that you're including, make sure all your sites are cited correctly. Then 2 days before that, review the body, and then work your way up, and you don't have to work for 6 or 10 hours at a slot. You can do, hey, I got 15 minutes, I'm going to check my sources here. I've got a half hour, I'm going to Google that one situation that I was really curious about, and I don't have it written in my paper. If you backtrack from the due date, you're not driven by the day that it's due, you're driven by what's on your planner. I can do 15 minutes right here, get it done. The next day I got an hour in the library, and then try and leave your weekends free. So if you really have to cram some studying, you got the weekend. But if you do a little bit every day, 20 minutes, a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever feels right for you, put it in your planner. And don't just put your schoolwork in your planner, put everything in there. Got to pick up toilet paper, need a haircut appointment, call the dentist. So then when you open that planner up in the morning, you know exactly what's expected of you that day. And then you could follow suit. And if you keep that planner updated, it's easy to know that you're right on track. And it's kind of a, an illusion at being on track, because if you lose the planner, you're lost. But as long as you have that planner, you have this confidence in you that you know what's expected of you today, and then you look and you know what's expected of you tomorrow, and you just update it every day. No surprises.
Yeah, that's awesome. So go to your professors.
Go to your professors.
Make sure that you're up to date on your planner.
Yeah, I think, and if you need a planner, we have them free at Albers Hall. I'm happy to give somebody a planner if they
Do you have other things free for students at
All
Albers
kinds
Hall?
of things at Albers Hall. Scantrons, blue books, highlighters, pencils, calendars, food. We have a food bank for people who live off campus. We're hooked up right with the Mesa County Food Bank. It's not something off the grid or anything. We're hooked up with the food bank, and we get supplies, and you come in, no questions asked, and we give you a bag of whatever we have. It's typically canned goods like beans and soups and things like that, macaroni and cheese, rice. Right now we have a ton of toothbrushes, so if you need a new toothbrush, there's no questions asked. We're here to support our students, and they don't need to, go down to the food bank. They could do it right here at Albers. We also have clothing. We call it an exchange, but it's not really an exchange. People bring their clothes in. We make sure they're good to be hung up on a hanger or placed in a drawer. So if somebody needs something, we've got it. You just come in and, look through what we have and take what you need.
That's awesome. I think the other kind of miscommunication that has come through to a lot of students is that you have to be kind of at rock bottom in order to walk into Alberts Hall and get a Scantron. And
No,
that's
no, you
huge.
don't. You know, you could be rock bottom financially and rock bottom academically, and I hope you do come to Alberts Hall, and we will help you. I will, you know, the way I do it, and it sounds really hokey and corny, but the way I do it is when you walk through my door, you're my kid. And how would I want my child to be treated? What would I want people to know about my child? So I'm an observer. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to know. I'm going to feel whether you're not feeling well, whether you're overwhelmed. So if you're not doing good, let me help you. You know, if you shouldn't be in school, then I'll help you pack. If you should be in school, then I'll help you get back on track. So if you are at rock bottom, come by. But if you're not at rock bottom, you're a 4.0 student, you know, and things are well. Maybe things aren't great in your family, but things are well. Come by. We're there to support you, to lend an ear, to give you a free Scantron, to make whatever we can easier for you. We want to do that. We want to support you. It's kind of like going home. You know, you go home to get whatever, whether you need it or not, the pat on the back, the kick in the rear, you know, and that's what we're there for. You know, there's mentors in that building that look at students the way I do. I look at you like you're my boss, not that I work for the college. You know, certainly I work for the college and that's where my paychecks come from, but you're my boss. I work for you. Whatever you need done, I'm going to try and help accomplish.
Cool. And going back to kind of those tips for midterms week, is there any other tips that you have? Maybe
Yeah,
one final
you know,
one?
this time of year, everybody gets a little overwhelmed. They're really feeling they're not home. They're really feeling, you know, that homesickness, that not belonging where they are. And, you know, they may be from Denver or Hawaii, and the person from Denver thinks nobody can relate to them, and the person from Hawaii thinks that nobody can relate to them. And really, the feeling of homesickness is the same. You know, so you may be feeling like, what am I doing here? And, you know, my classes are going okay, but I don't know if school's for me, and I don't even know if I should be here. Well, this is not the time to be thinking that. You're registered for classes, you're in classes, the withdraw date's done, so finish strong, finish the best you can do. You know, get C's if you have to. D's don't transfer, but you know, you can put a D on your transcript as long as they're not all D's, and finish strong. Make your schedule for the spring, then go home, and then decide over break. Should I be in school or should I not be in school? It's stupid to think about that now because you're just throwing your money away on a whole semester that you've worked hard for. And if you haven't worked hard, well, there's still time to pull it out. And that's a matter of going to your professor, seeing what you need to do, you know, and figuring out a game plan of what you do here forward. This time of year is just, it's prevalent with students thinking they shouldn't be in college because it's getting a little harder. You know, the first weeks you're just doing a little reading, a little class discussion, and now maybe the tests are starting and the papers and projects are starting, and you start getting, you know, fear. Your heart's beating fast, your head is overwhelmed, you can't think straight. And that's fear, you know, and then it turns into anxiety, and you don't want to leave your room because you think you're going to fail. Well, if you don't leave your room, you will fail. So you may as well leave your room and give it a try and make the best you can do till the end of the semester. Then decide when you're home. You have a good schedule already in place and you're home, and you could really think, do I really want to go back to school in January? Is this really what I should be doing? And you could go, well, I've got a good schedule, you know, but I'm still not feeling it, so I think I'm going to stay home. Or you can say, well, I don't have a schedule, so I better not go. So it's a good idea to get a schedule so you can really make a good decision about coming back or not. Don't throw the semester away because you think school isn't for you. Finish it. Those credits will follow you. I have credits on my transcript from 1975 from New York City that helped me graduate last December. So they don't go away. They may go to electives and might not go for that core class, but the credits don't go away. So finish strong. And then when you are ready to come back, they'll be waiting for you. Another thing that happens this time of year, because Halloween's coming up and it's going to start getting colder, so there are going to be, you know, house parties and stuff like that. I just think you got to be mindful about drinking and partying excessively.
And this kind of goes into that safety category of,
Exactly.
like, yes, it's midterms and focus on school, but make sure, like, in order to focus on school that you're healthy and you're making good decisions.
Exactly. And you have to have that downtime. But you got to make those deals with yourself. You have to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to go to that party Friday night only if I get all this done beforehand. So don't wait till Thursday. You know, start it on Sunday or Monday so that you can be done by Friday, so that you can go to the party, so that you can, you know, have some relaxed time and go see people and get that energy out. But you got to be careful. You know, stranger danger doesn't go away just because you're in college. You know, there are people out there that, you know, aren't the best. And it's sad, but it's true. You know, they're there to take advantage of others, and you have to be alert. It's like how drunk you have to be. How high do you have to get? You know, go to relax and have fun and laugh and have a great time, but don't get obliterated. And keep your eye on your friends. Step in if things don't look quite right. If you get that weird feeling in your belly, step in, you know, and say, hey, are you okay? 9 times out of 10 people are going to go, yeah, I'm okay. But then ask, do you want to go? I'm leaving. You know, follow up, take care of each other. It's a rough time of year. Midterms, the weather's changing, the holidays are coming. A lot of people have stress and anxiety about this time of year, and it's a matter of taking care of yourself, putting yourself first, doing what you came to college to do. That's get an education. The friends and everything else is like a cherry on the cake. But it's important to know who you are and reach out for help. If you're overwhelmed, reach out for help. If you're feeling disorganized, come see one of the mentors. Go talk to your RA. Talk to a fellow student. Look to upperclassmen. How did you make it through? Don't sit there thinking you're the only one who's feeling sad and overwhelmed. Everybody goes through it. So reach out for help. Don't be afraid to talk to your RA. Or if you live off campus, come and talk to one of the mentors. We'll help you unfold those things that are driving you crazy and maybe start a plan for you. But the most important thing is really to understand that you are the most important person to your future. What you do has consequences. What you do has repercussions. So if you want to be a student, and this is what you should be doing, then every action you have should relate to that. You know, I'm going to go out Friday night because I don't have to get up early Saturday. I'm not going to go out Wednesday night because I have an early class on Thursday. It's not a matter of not going to a party. It's a matter of knowing what your priority is. The commitment you make. The commitment is to you. Somebody calls you and you look at your planner and it says that you're reading that night or that you're studying. You say, sorry, I can't go. I have a previous commitment. And the commitment's to you. And say, but I can go tomorrow night. You know, stay fixed to what your plan is for you. It's hard, but it's a day-to-day process, and every day you get done, you're a day closer for the semester to being over with.
That's great. And you had mentioned that you just graduated in December.
Yeah.
Can you tell just briefly what your story was and how you're even more of a resource for students because you've kind of been in their situation recently?
For me, it was growing up not thinking I was smart enough. That's really what it was, you know. Some kids grow up thinking that. I was one of those kids. And then I go to high school, and I was struggling with algebra, and I went to my algebra teacher and, you know, told him that, you know, I needed help. And he said, he looked at me square in the eye and said, oh, don't worry, I'll pass you. You're never going to go to college. So I passed algebra in high school, but I never had it. And I walked out of his office thinking, great, I don't have to take math. And then, you know, a year or so later, you know, when I was a sophomore, I thought, but I really do want to go to college. So I did go, but I never took math. And then the journey, I mean, it's a long story. The journey, you know, led me to Colorado, led me to Grand Junction. You know, I did go to college in New York for a couple of years, and here I am at Mesa, have this great job that was a gift. Really, it was a gift to have this opportunity to work here. And when President Foster hired me, he said he wanted me to do 2 things. He wanted me to discourage student loans. He goes, tell them they don't have to take it all if they don't need them. talked to him about, you know, going only on grants and figuring it out. And then he looked at me and said, and finish your degree. So that's where I'm at with it. I finished in December. I had to take 5 different math classes, 4 Ds, 1 C. And the C was in 113. And the only thing I did different, I didn't walk to class telling myself how much I hated math. I would walk to class going, I hate math. I don't know why I have to take it. Why do I have to find the 0? So I ask, why do I have to find the 0 in class? And the professor tells me it's so that I would know how long it would take me to get to Mars. So I said, but I'm never going to Mars. Can you give me another example? And he couldn't. So of course, you know, I throw my arms up in disbelief, going, I don't even know why I have to know this, but I have to know it. And I had a crappy attitude. Why am I going? Why am I taking it? I'm never going to learn it. I'm never going to get it. So I had to stop that, because your brain listens to you. You talk like that, it's going to turn off and you're not going to pay attention. You're going to be looking out the window. You're going to be using different color markers to, you know, entertain yourself. So I had to stop that. You know, it's the same psych out as trying to shoot a basket. You can't stand at the bottom of that, on that court, under that basket saying, I'm going to miss. You got to say, I got it. So you walk to class with a better attitude. I'm going to do the best I can do. I never said I loved math. I never said I'm going to understand it. I just said I'm going to do the best I can do. Then I started studying with somebody from my class, which made a huge difference, because they heard what the professor was telling me and they could help kind of translate it. You know. So there were 3 of us studying together, and that's the best size for a study group. Then the last thing that anybody can do in any class, really any of these things, I did my homework like I was taking a test. So I didn't look at the answers, I didn't look in the notebook, I just sat there, and it took forever to do one equation. But I got it, and I got the magic C at the end. So I finished math, I started taking some art classes, because that was my first love, was art. And you know, I spoke to a couple of therapist friends of mine, and I asked them if I should take psychology, if it would help. And I'm certified in a million different things, and they're like, just take what can feed you. So I started back with art classes. I love clay, but art history is finally what I went to, because it's history reflected in art and what people do. And philosophy, that's what my degree is. It's a liberal arts degree with art and philosophy. And I think it's given me so much to work on, because of the way people present themselves and represent themselves and try to express who they are, whether it's through art or writing or even their dialogue to you, you know, to be in tune with that. And then philosophy, you know, it's about living in the here and now, in the present moment, and being the best human you can be. So,
well, that's awesome, and that's such a great journey. It's so inspiring for all students. But kind of going back to midterms week, make sure that you study hard, and obviously Fran is an open resource anytime that you need it, for all students. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome. And studying hard is great if you know the material.
Yes, know the material.
If you study hard and you don't know the material, you're not going to get anywhere. So what are you going to study if you don't know? You've got to go see your professor so you can get that backup of information. He can look at your study guide. He can encourage you, or she could tell you, hey, this is your other test. You were light on this area. Really go talk to your professors so that when you are studying, you're studying information you know, not what you're guessing with. And don't drink and drive and text and all kinds of other things.
All the things that need to be
said.
Yeah,
don't do those, okay?
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Well, have a good night.